Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. What I do is me and my special guest, we sit down, we discuss an individual horror film in no particular decade, in no particular subgenre, as on this program, we kind of delve into all the different types of horror films out there for you, our audience, because you never know what we're going to be talking about. Now, that being said, this month we are doing something really special because this is our franchise month here at Conversations in Horror. And what we do is we kind of take every individual film within a particular franchise and we do a special episode on each individual film. And then we release them all on the same day to make sure that you have plenty of stuff to listen to for that whole week. That being said, the episode that we are doing today is on one of the most famous horror film franchises out there. Not only is it one of the most famous franchises, it's also one of the most infamous franchises as well. And the first film we're going to be talking about is the amazing Jaws from 1975. I'm not talking about amazing as in terms of the sequels, but we will get to those in another episode. But we are talking about Jaws from director Steven Spielberg, 1975. And to discuss this movie with me, I have brought along my friends Thomas Tinarello and Dave Watkins, who I would to actually thank for joining me on this conversation.
What's up?
Good to be back. Yeah. What's up?
So, for everyone out there listening to this podcast, we already know that you have seen the movie Jaws. So, we are not going to go through this film plot beat by plot beat and everything else because you already know the film. If you don't, shame on you. Go out there and watch the movie because this is not a conversation that will not have spoilers. We're assuming you've already seen this movie as the rest of the world has.
You mean there will be spoilers, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it will be spoilers.
Yeah. Because you said there will not be spoilers, but I think you mean we're spoiling this shit. Is what you're saying?
We're spoiling this shit. Yes, we're spoiling this shit, as Dave has mentioned to it. So I want you to enjoy our conversation. It's going to be a little bit different, which is going to be fun. So I do want to ask you, because everybody has a different story about how they came about this movie. So I got to know, guys, how did you come upon this movie and what were your initial impressions about it? And I guess today we'll start off with you, Dave.
So yeah, with Jaws, it was more of a myth, I think, that was seeded. Obviously, this came out like a little bit before I was born, and but it was like this movie's about a killer shark, and I could tell that people were afraid of this movie, like other people who saw it when it came out initially. So it was for a long time. It was like, this is a scary movie about a shark, and it's got everybody scared about the beach, about going into the water at the beach. Or like, there's sharks in there. Jaws is going to be in the water. And so I had this, like, as a kid, there's this thought of what the movie was this movie about a killer shark that's gotten everybody afraid of the film. When I did finally see it, I don't remember how, I was probably pretty young when I saw it. And this movie is like, the first half's completely different than the second half, but the first half does deal a lot with that idea of beachgoers on the beach and then getting attacked with a shark, which is pretty scary. I probably didn't even watch the whole film the first time I really saw it. Later on, when I was older, I really appreciate the second part, which deals a lot with three characters on a boat who are trying to catch the shark, and that part is actually really solid. It's probably more solid than the first half, but both halves of the movie are really good.
What about you, Thomas?
Well, I think my earliest exposure to this, and we'll probably get into this also when we finally do Jaws 3 or 3D, as it's been known. I think the very first thing that I ever saw was I must have been a toddler, because I remember being very short and very small in, I think, my grandparents' old house in Florida. And it had seemingly to me, a very long dining living room-ish area. And they had a very large little TV. And I remember a promo for Jaws 3 on Showtime. I only know it was Showtime because it said Jaws 3 on Showtime. And it was the shark, pushing its face through through the glass that shatters improbably.
Right, hilarious scene. Yeah,
But it
and
was
it's a good thing it said Showtime so that you knew.
yes on Showtime, and it was so scary, that voice. I was
Yeah.
like, "What is that?" And it was such a surreal kind of little bit of seeing this like shark seemingly floating in air, pretty much, because it didn't really seem like water at all. It was so it
It was
ingrained
that's it's such a weird scene though when that shit happens. It's
it
just
ingrained itself in my psyche. And also my mom was very notorious for recording a bunch of random triple and quadruple features off of cable TV onto VHSs. And there was a movie, I don't remember which one, but one of those movies she recorded had that promo for Jaws 3. We did not record Jaws 3 for reasons. We never actually watched Jaws 3 on those VHSs that she pirated off of basic cable, basically, or not basic cable, but pay cable. So it was years and years later that I probably gradually saw this movie in bits and pieces. It's like while it was on basic cable.
That's the same way it happened to me too. I think because I never.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like I was like a probably 16 or 17 or something that I actually sat down and watched the whole thing for the first time all together.
Yeah, and as far as like memories, there's only real two memories that kind of stick out to me of the first movie is when we finally, and both of these are fairly recent actually, because as we used to have, we miss it so much now. We used to have a house that had it was a ranch style house with a big basement. The basement was like a whole other house down there basically, and we had basically like a man cave area. But the way it was set up, you could have. I mean, we bought a 4K TV that was like 78 inches or something, and we put it up there, and I made it like this little kind of screening room basically. And whenever we'd have parties, we would have movies going on in that space. And I put up speakers on the roof, on the ceiling, and stuff like that. And it was really immersive. And for whatever reason, I think it's because my autistic 13-year-old son, who was like 8 at the time when we first when he had this phase, he had his shark phase. So there was a phase where he was super interested in sharks, and so we kind of decked out that basement in a Jaws theme. We had some like Hobby Lobby like art that said we need a bigger boat, which is often misquoted. Actually, it's not you're going to need a bigger. It's actually you're going to need a bigger boat, not we're going to need a bigger boat. So there's like some shark like and beachy memorabilia and stuff all up in it, and it looked great.
That line's not quite like that zinger. Like it actually, so he repeats it several times. He's damn serious. He's not a joke. He's like, we need a bigger or you need a bigger boat. He's like, we're gonna go get a bigger boat, right? Right.
We're gonna get a bigger boat, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's a serious line. It's not a one liner like people often think that it is. So.
Yeah, exactly. But like so in this basement, in this shrine to Jaws that we kind of created on accident, because at the time, and by the way, my son's shark face didn't last that long. And eventually he switched back to Thomas the Train, and he's still on Thomas the Train now at 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
But so he was into sharks, and we had a birthday party.
Do you prefer, sharks or Thomas the Train?
Thomas the Train. He's all about the Thomas the Train now. But yeah, like what happened was I started playing the movie downstairs, and all his friends and their friends' parents just started slowly kind of trickling in, and then they watched the thing. And I was a little afraid because this movie's kind of bloody for kids, and especially when Alex Kittner gets eaten. And but that was a cool moment because that was like, unfortunately, we lost that house not too long ago. So that moment was kind of like the one time where we really used that space for its intended use. And it was very successful with it. The other story, I think, is that I did try to have Tommy, my son, watch Jaws, or at least segments of Jaws. I would fast forward through the beginning where he eats the naked girl, but most of the time he was going, "Where's the shark?
Yeah.
Where's the shark?"
That's yeah. I mean, yeah, the same thing with my son. I couldn't. He wouldn't watch the whole thing. He was like, it's kind of like watching a King Kong movie. Like like the whole time King Kong's on the screen, he's like, where the hell's King Kong at?
Yeah.
You know? Is that?
Yeah, it's even worse than the Peter Jackson version.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was like, I tried to watch the Jeff Bridges one with him, and it was just like he hates everything that happens unless King Kong's on screen, or he did at the time. He's maybe a little bit better now, but
Haven't watched King Kong Lives then.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's
King Kong's in the movie pretty much the entire damn thing.
Oh, is he in it? Yeah.
I
But he
remember
likes
liking
the ones like the Skull Island, and King Kong will show up like immediately in that one right away, you know. But it's like,
yeah.
but Jaws, yeah. I mean, this is like like this works as you got to be scared of it. The idea of being afraid of it and not seeing it is something that kids may not get now because it's like that makes it scarier. But the kids don't care about it being scary. They just want to see it. They want to see the shark and what it's going to do.
Yeah, then they got to watch Jaws 2 then. You see the shark a lot more in Jaws 2.
Well, so do you have any more of your story to tell?
No, that was pretty much it because I was just like telling, just trying to get Tommy to watch the shark, and the shark finally shows up, and he's like, "Oh, there it is." but yeah, so that was my first kind of blush with this movie, and ever since I bought it on 4K, I was like, "This is the text of this Spielberg masterpiece," and I am definitely going to cherish it and rewatch it. Maybe not its entirety, but mostly its entirety every summer, because I feel like it's the ultimate summer horror movie. It's a toss up between that and Tremors.
Well, this one too, because of the beach aspect of it and the party going on the beach and things like that. So it does lend itself to summer or at least spring break, maybe.
Unfortunately for me, I love to watch the Leonardo DiCaprio starring The Beach. That's kind of my summer movie because I want to screw my brain while I'm going to a fucking good beach as well. But my story is almost it has a little tinge of yours, Thomas, but not as much tinge as yours.
Not as much tinge.
Well, the thing
it does have a twist. It has a twist, right?
Okay.
Out of the 4 films in the franchise, this is the 3rd one I ended up seeing. I'm not going to go into all the details of all my stories because you'll have to listen to the other podcasts, everybody, for the other ones. But I started off with Jaws 3D, then saw Jaws: The Revenge. Now I saw both of those two when they came out. And the thing is, because of the titles of the movie, never knew there was a Jaws 1 and Jaws 2. I just knew them as Jaws 3D and Jaws: The Revenge. Never knew there was a part 1 or part 2 for the longest time.
I do feel like I saw the 3rd one and the 4th one more than the first one too when I was younger. Because it came on all the time.
So wait, Kevin, all those clips from the first Jaws that are in as flashbacks in Jaws: The Revenge, you thought they shot that for that movie?
I was a kid in '87 when that came out, dude. I was not thinking like that. I did not realize there was a Jaws until somewhere in the 90s. And I caught the original Jaws on television. So I saw a television edit of the movie. Is how I came to the movie. I will tell you this. For me, as a kid growing up, if I was not a filmmaker now, Jaws 3D and Jaws: The Revenge would still be my favorite films. And the reason being is not because of the film quality, it's because the 3rd one had Louis Gossett Jr. in it. And I am a huge Louis Gossett Jr. fan. Huge. I would have been pissed off if they killed him in the movie, but he kind of gets that weird, they don't show him die type of death. And then that Mario Van Peebles was in Jaws: The Revenge, and I'm a huge Mario Van Peebles fan. And I like Lance Guest because Lance Guest is in one of my favorite sci-fi movies, which is The Last Starfighter.
I love The Last Starfighter.
He's got Michael Caine in it too.
For me, in the 80s, I saw a billion times. I didn't see Jaws until the 90s because I didn't know it existed. When I saw it on television, I saw the first one on television because I was looking for it. Because once someone told me there was 2 other fucking Jaws movies, I went out there to look for it. But the Jaws franchise is not something I went out of my way to go search out for to begin with.
Yeah.
Jaws, shark movies were that like they are now.
Mhm.
My whole aquatic existence back then in the 80s was Orca, the killer whale. That was probably the only one I'd seen at growing up as a kid. So I was not going to search for Jaws. I had not really discovered Spielberg, because it's like in the 90s, I wasn't really thinking like that yet. I didn't start thinking like a filmmaker till like 93 when I decided I was going to be a filmmaker when I went to college. And then I started searching on a lot of stuff. And so in Jaws 2, when I saw that, I hated it. I was like, dude, this was boring to me. I didn't like that one and I saw the television edit again for that one first. I didn't see I didn't see the films until much later when I decided to look for them on uncut on a fucking DVD. And then I could see exactly how they were intended. Because if you end up watching a television edit of these movies, you're missing a lot of shit. Yeah, Jaws is a 2.5 hour movie. They cut stuff out of that movie for the television edit, and they cut stuff out of the second one. And so I was never really satisfied until I saw an uncut version. I don't know why I never just rented the movie when I rented so many movies back then, and why I just watched the television edit. I have no idea. I don't. But because the main thing for me is there was no African Americans in Jaws. There was no African Americans in Jaws 2. Jaws 3D had Louis Gossett Jr. in it. Jaws: The Revenge had Mario Van Peebles in it. Those 2 films are the ones I gravitated towards when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. But when I started studying Steven Spielberg, when I watched an uncut version of Jaws blew me away. It did. I had a different experience watching the uncut non-TV edit than I did when I watched the TV edit. And the other thing is, I watched it and TV edits, if you're like me, you pause it when there's a commercial, you unpause it when it comes back, and it's a little bit choppier when you rewatch those type of edits. And so when I watched an unedited version, I was blown away. I love Jaws. It inspired me to go out there and read the fucking novel. I picked up all of Peter Benchley's fucking books, read most of his shit, read most of the behind the scenes novels based in this fucking movie. I don't know how many freaking novels I've read that have to deal with sharks and all, because Peter Benchley has said he wished he had never wrote the damn book because of the fallout of people going out there and just randomly killing sharks in the real world. And so he wrote the nonfiction books to kind of get people to stop doing that,
There's something about that. I mean, like, speaking of Peter Benchley, since we're on it right now, for those of you who don't know, he wrote the original novel Jaws, which was a summer paperback hit. And then he wrote some of this is a mixture of what's common knowledge now about it. Some of this is stuff that I remember from the time that I sat down and met Carl Gottlieb, the guy who wrote the scripts to this movie. So my Aunt Sharon is a member of like the Editors Guild, and she's done a lot of movies. So somehow she's friends with Carl Gottlieb. So one day when I went to LA, she got me a lunch with Carl. So I picked his brain about screenwriting for a while and stuff. And of course, I had to talk to him about Jaws because I couldn't not talk to him about freaking Jaws. And I found out that Carl was actually, the way he got that job was him and Steven Spielberg were friends from like this writing group or this theater group that met in LA, like on and off. So that's how he knew Steven. So they were friends there. And then out of the blue one day, Steven calls Carl and says, "Carl, I need your help." He's like, "What is it, Steven?" And he's like, "Well, so I'm doing Jaws now, but the script is terrible. It's a piece of garbage. This guy Peter Benchley, the guy who wrote the book, he wrote the script, and he has no idea how to make a screenplay. But I don't know how we could fix this. But I really got to do this movie, Carl. You got to help me." So he's like, "Okay." And what Steven didn't know was that Carl and Peter Benchley were also friends. So Carl did not tell Peter Benchley for the longest time that he got that job, and basically completely overhauled Peter Benchley's draft of Jaws, which was like a almost 300-page script. It was literally he just transferred all the action of the novel onto the screen, and of course, it does not work because there's so many subplots in the book that are just completely useless and trash, and just do not fit at all.
Yeah,
So
I was kind of surprised to hear about what some of those subplots were. I was just like, yeah, I'm so glad they didn't use them because it would have
same here.
destroyed the characters.
Oh, yeah.
It would have made them unlikable.
Oh yeah, like the moment that Richard Dreyfuss was cast as Hooper in this, the affair between Hooper and Brody's wife was immediately excised because there's no universe in which anybody, even in the 70s, could possibly believe that Richard Dreyfuss would be more attractive to a woman than freaking Roy Scheider.
Yeah. Well, the character's different in the book, where he's supposed to be more of a preppy type of dude. They actually went for John Voight was their first person they tried to get to play that part.
Yeah.
So, but
that makes more sense. But yeah, no. Once you get the Spielberg surrogate that is Richard Dreyfuss, like no, that's not going to work. So wisely they cut all that out, and wisely they cut out the mob subplot. But Carl, after they did all that and he got it down to the great script that it is today, I asked him what it was like to be friends with Peter. And during this, he's like, "Yeah, poor." Because I had mentioned that like this is the one movie where a lot of people, this and The Godfather, this is like the one of 2 or 3 examples people will bring up where the movie is actually better than the novel as a story. Yeah, they're 2 different mediums, obviously, but this is one of the few instances where the screenplay that Carl wrote ultimately is a better story than the book is, and most everybody has tossed this around, and he's like, yeah. Poor Peter lived that down his whole life, the rest of his whole life. He never really got over that, which is probably why everything he wrote after that was pretty much something that either, like you said, refutes the phenomena of Jaws or tries to cash in on the phenomena of Jaws, like Peter Benchley's The Beast, or stuff like that. Yeah,
the Deep, right?
Yep.
The Creature. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, poor Peter Benchley. It's like he had one hit, and that kind of just defined him for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I just had to look him up too. You're right. I think Jaws was the one that defined him. Even though I love The Deep, and I just saw The Island, and I'm not a big fan of The Island. I've never read the book, so I just saw the movie for the first time.
The Island also has Michael Caine in it too.
Yeah.
Who was in
Michael
The Revenge. David Warner's in that too.
But yeah, I've read most of his books. I have not read The Island. I keep forgetting that one. I have not read that one, but then his nonfiction books, I've read a lot of those. I just looked. I think I've read them all except for 2. Because I was fascinated. I was fascinated with his thought processes after the fallout that was Jaws. So
Spielberg had I was watching this documentary, and he has an interview where he said that he himself wrote a draft of it just to kind of get his head around it more. Now, he said he didn't use it, maybe one scene that he used from it, but he did try to write it himself and noticed that he wasn't the right person to be writing it. But he said he got him more involved with it.
Yeah, that's probably when he called Carl. It's like, Carl, I can't do this myself. I need help.
Right? Yeah, he does say that in the documentary, something like that. Yeah, he said the guy Carl's got an interview on there too, and he got him involved with it, and he didn't say exactly what you said there because I think Carl was trying to be a little more diplomatic, or with everything. But yeah, he said he came in and kind of tweaked things, which made it. I think they had a third person come in too. I didn't write his name down, but they had a third person who was a lot more famous scriptwriter. He didn't want credit at all. They came in and did the final polish and added a lot of the lines to it.
Was it Gore Vidal?
I think so. I think you're right.
I think because Gore Vidal was notorious for doing polishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he would often his specialty was like witty dialogue.
Yeah. And they said that a lot of it too. Not like there's several of the best lines they said were ad-libbed by the actors, even though they know that it came from the characters. That the idea of it, actors ad-lib stuff, but they wouldn't be ad-libbing it had they not had all the writing that they had before to know the characters better.
Yeah, that's something that young filmmakers today don't understand is that ad-libbing and improv is not meant to build a scene from nothing. It's meant to enhance a scene that's already well written.
Yeah, yeah, you got to know that, got to get those characters right. And in order to to ad lib correctly, you have to know the character very, very well.
Inside and out. Well, you should do that anyways when you're an actor delving into any character for a film. But, we all know that's not always the case because all three of us are filmmakers here.
Yeah.
Oh, but hey, Peter Benchley's name is integrated with this, just like Steven Spielberg and Bruce the Shark and all the problems that went into the production. And the clear fact is all the stuff that Spielberg went through while making this film all enhanced the film for us moviegoers. Now, I do wish and hope that one day I will get to see this film on the big screen because they play it every summer in multiple locations around the world, not just here in the US, but around the world. That's how big this movie is and how much of an influence it still has 51 years after it was originally released. That is
happy 51 birthday.
Yes,
yes. It would be a great one to see on the big screen. I agree with that. It would be.
I still don't know,
awesome.
and there's a showing that I saw. It must have been last year, and it must have been for the 50th anniversary. Now that I think about it, and I'm still not convinced it was real. I'm still convinced it might have been a little AI or Photoshop or something because I saw it on Facebook, and there's so much fake stuff that goes around out there. Especially
so tired
now.
of that shit too. So
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. So, but what I saw was this picture of a bunch of people on floaties and inner tubes in a huge pool or lake area or something, watching Jaws.
Yeah.
So yes,
I don't know though. I don't know, man.
I can't confirm which picture you have seen it of, but people do that with Jaws every time.
I was gonna say, I believe that. I'm not saying I don't believe that they do it, but I just can't imagine sitting in a damn lake for 2.5 hours watching.
That's
Jaws.
what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. You would get so pruny after like the first 40 minutes of the movie.
People do that at Lake Lanier, dude. They do it at Lake Lanier.
Really?
Yeah, they have a huge, giant outdoor screen at Lake Lanier that people can sit in the pool. It's not a pool like an outdoor pool, but the lake area and on the beach to watch whatever they're putting on the big screen. I did a show out there. It's the only reason why I know it exists. I did a show out there where we were doing a corporate event, and we had to project it on that big ass screen, and everyone could see everything.
Are they drinking? Are they drinking while this is going on?
Oh yeah, they're drinking.
Yeah. So they're able to have drink. Like one time I was on a cruise ship, and they were watching The Last Jedi all out there doing that. But
shit, that's another thing. Yes, cruise ships do that too because I've been on cruises where half the people are sitting in the pool watching the big movie on screen for like 4 hours because they like to do double features and shit. And
I'm not sure how. Yeah, sometimes you don't know how much they're watching it because a lot of them are drinking. Some of them are watching it, but it's kind of hard to really focus on a movie if people have been drinking.
When you're drinking and making out with the person who's on, it's a driving experience.
Yeah.
It's a driving experience, except you're just in the water. I don't know which picture you've seen, but yeah, they do that like all over the place.
If that's the case, Kevin, then they definitely need to. Lake Lanier needs to do a double feature where they do Jaws and the original Piranha. Because Piranha will scare the crap out of people because Piranha is in a freshwater lake.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. I don't know if anyone's done Piranha, but that's a great idea.
Yes, they should totally do that.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean that movie's played every summer in some place. Always, Jaws is. It's just it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show, dude. It's one of those films that people just love to go out and see on the big screen. And
they come dressed as a shark for that thing.
I'm about to say that would be hilarious.
I don't know about that part, Dave.
They could just be on like a little flotilla in front of
Yeah.
the stage, and then all of a sudden, this guy dressed up as a shark comes up and just munches Alex Kittner and drags him off the stage.
But I will not dismiss the fact that when I saw Halloween, not Halloween 4. Shit, I'm getting screwed up with which ones because I'm trying to watch all of the Halloweens on the big screen because they redo them all periodically. But Halloween 4 on the big screen, people were dressed up like fucking Michael Myers.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
go see that shit. I mean, it came
It's
out.
kind of hard to dress up like a shark, though.
It
You
is
probably
kind of
look-
hard to dress
I
up
mean,
like
you
a
could
shark.
you could dress up like Michael Myers and still look cool, but
Oh,
you're not
come on!
gonna.
Oh, come on! Oh, come on, come on, dude! Chevy Chase did it pretty regularly and pretty well on Saturday Night Live back in the days with the Land Shark sketches.
Yeah, yeah. You could. It's a little goofy though, but I mean,
You get
it's
yourself
also
a blow up
I don't
shark
know.
costume like they did the blow
Yeah.
up dinosaur
Oh
costume.
yeah,
Remember-
they do that. Yeah, totally.
What's that,
Yeah, you could totally do a shadow cast.
You
of
look like
Jaws.
you look like Jabberjaw. Remember Jabberjaw?
Yeah, I remember Jabberjaw.
You're not gonna look like Jaws. You look like Jabberjaw.
Oh my god. Well, one day, if we shit, I can't even get it out now. But next time I see because it's coming up on summer. Well, actually, when this airs, it probably is summer. But when it does, I will make sure to tell everybody when they're doing a screening of Jaws because they're always doing a screening.
You know, now that you mention it, I remember at the theater north of me, they do like every week they actually play an older movie. And I remember like one time I was watching some movie and then they're like Jaws is going to be playing. So it's sometime within the last year or two they did have that as an option, but I didn't go.
Last year they did the 50th anniversary screening. I think it was Fathom Events did it in theaters, so you could see them pretty much everywhere whenever they did their Fathom Events event, which is how I saw a lot of the re-releases. A lot of and since Dave, you're a 4K guy, a lot of 4K films when 4K movies get re-released at the theater, a lot of the times it's Fathom Events that are putting on those special events that when they release them back at the theater. So I used to go, I haven't seen any in the last couple of years, but they used to do them all the time. Just like
my thought, I think my thought was too. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to go see it at the theater because I'll just watch it at home on 4K. But I did I did see The Thing recently on the screen, and I was like, okay, this looks so much better, even look better than watching it on 4K. It just looks so much different seeing it on that huge screen like that.
Yeah, it just overwhelms you.
It's much more fun to see it on the big screen in front of a lot of people, and that's the great thing about Jaws. Jaws is this film that you can go watch with everybody and your friends and shit, and just enjoy the fuck out of this movie because it's still great. Some people, younger audiences may think it may be a little slow. La 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 la. It's not the Meg. It doesn't have Jason Statham kicking some shit out of some people while also kicking the shit out of some giant Meg sharks. But this movie here has this undeniable, I like to say, charm because of the way in which the story unfolds and the events in it that just make it seem like these are authentic, real people. Watching on the screen.
But
the
not just that.
Does not have that.
Oh yeah, but not just that, Kev. Not just that, Kev. I feel like if you watch, even if jaded youngsters these days watched it in the theater with an audience where you cannot fast forward, I feel like even in I think in that environment they will discover that those talking sequences, which have you generally feature the great Spielberg Wonder shots. I think those scenes will surprisingly go by faster because you're in there with the audience and you're laughing at the jokes and you're engaging with these performances, which, by the way, everybody in this movie from top to bottom is doing great work. There's not a false beat amongst them. I can't even think of someone who does a bad performance in this. Roy Scheider is great. We already mentioned Richard Dreyfuss, who's also great. But the legend in this movie, of course, is
Robert Shaw.
Robert Shaw, rest him. God rest him, Robert Shaw. He was such a great Irish actor, and here he comes on playing the salty sea dog Quint, who is the Captain Ahab of this little adventure. Who's going to kill the shark and sings farewell and adieu, ye Spanish ladies. So, like, all of that, and also the fact that, let's face it, you do have to kind of sit through a lot of the character stuff to wait for the slasher killings, which, by the way, let's face it, folks, the first half of this movie is a slasher movie.
Yeah,
the shark is a killer.
Yeah. A lot different than the second half. In the second half, they're three guys on a boat and like these really great characters, just like, and you're like, once it gets into that second half, it's like you're thinking they're eventually going to get back to shore and more slasher stuff's going to happen, but now it's kind of like Moby Dick in a way for the
it's like Moby Dick, and it feels more like an adventure. Like the John Williams score feels much more adventurous, but yet there are moments, especially when it turns into night, where things get creepy. And this is also, of course, many people have said this is also where the UFO shows up, because there's a couple of shots where they show the sky where there's some weird lights in there, and there's also one thing that's obviously a meteor that crosses Richard Dreyfuss's face.
I just like to imagine that to be like one of the flying saucers from
Close Encounters. Yeah. Yeah, it's observing the shark, or maybe it's a crackpot theory people have that the shark is not really a shark, that the shark is an extraterrestrial being. And I'm serious, Kevin, because I too have a crackpot theory about this shark. I don't think I'm the only one who's thought about this, but let's face it. I mean, Peter Benchley is right to call people out, to say, look, this is not what real sharks do. And he's right, because this creature that looks like a shark exhibits behavior and patterns of killing that are not at all consistent with a great white. We do. There are very rare instances where great whites have become man killers. This movie is based on one of those incidents from back in like the 1800s. But still, not only is this thing a man killer, which seems to exclusively eat people. I don't think it ever eats another animal in this whole movie. But it's also super strong. Because remember, they try to drown it with 3 barrels, which, by the way, in the book, that works. In the it does kill the shark. In the movie, not only does it not kill the shark just kind of pulls it down under the water where they can't see it, and then the barrels come floating back up again. The shark toys with them in the barrels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the shark also like tortures its victims with like glee, like that poor girl at the beginning of the movie. A real shark would have just like bit her leg off, and that would have been the end of it. No, it drags her around the surface for an ungodly amount of time just to hear her scream, seemingly, and just takes her down when just at the right moment. That's like Jason Voorhees level or Freddy Krueger level, like, and also we know it strategizes. We know it holds grudges. We know from Jaws: The Revenge that thing holds a grudge. And
family holds a grudge.
Yeah, that too. But for me, the final thing that really nails it, that this thing is not a shark, is that it roars when it's dead. When Roy Scheider finally blows its head off with a scuba tank and a gun, which would not work, but we'll get into that. You can hear, as the camera is watching underwater, the plumes of blood coming out of the shark's empty cavity where its brain used to be. You hear it's not if you watch it with subtitles, it won't make a thing. It won't say sound or roar or anything. But Spielberg definitely put that there on purpose. So I think this is my crackpot theory. I think that is not a shark. I think the shark in Jaws is not a shark. I know I'm going to sound crazy for saying this, but I think the shark is a demon.
Why didn't you stick with extraterrestrials, since that's what Spielberg does so
well?
Here's
why. Okay, now here's why. I think it's a demon.
But they actually do mention it in the dialogue, what you're saying. about the demon eyes and stuff when he's
Oh
talking about
yes,
Robert Shaw's character does his story about the USS in Indianapolis.
Yeah. What
The
yeah.
happened?
dude, yeah, but
I think
yeah,
there's something supernatural about this creature. And I mean, let's face it, well, I think it's demonic for several reasons. Because, like, first of all, like I said, it's just diabolical, it strategizes, but also it's like incredibly hard to kill, and it's super strong. It's strong for a shark. That thing destroys that boat. Not a great white, even a great white that's 25 foot long, would probably not have been able to rip the boat a new one the way that that shark does, and also the barrels. So that's common, behavior with like demonically possessed people. What if this is either a demonically possessed shark, or B, a demonic being, an aquatic demon that just assumes the form of a shark? And also, you might say, oh, but it got killed at the end. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got 3 sequels that tell you otherwise. They might say, oh, it's a different shark. Well, honestly, folks, maybe it isn't. Maybe it is the same shark that just keeps coming back over and over again, because you can't kill something that's supernatural. There is a thing, I think, in, I mean, the idea of uh, a sea monster that is supernatural. I mean, that goes back to the book of Genesis. The Tanin or the Tananu are the Hebrew word for sea monsters in like the 3rd chapter of Genesis, and they use that word a lot. And of course, there's the Leviathan in Job. It's a symbolic, unstoppable sea serpent that is like a symbol of the chaos of the ocean in many cultures around the world. I think the ancient Hebrews were super, familiar with that. And of course, they were super familiar with Tiamat, the sea dragon, that creates the world when she loses her fight with Marduk. So to me, it's not a huge stretch to see the shark as the embodiment of chaotic, random, ruthless, satanic evil from the depths. And as marine biologists have pointed out, it would be irresponsible and harmful to real sharks for us to transpose our fears and images or imaginings about real sharks onto this thing that is really just, I think, the last of the universal monsters.
no, I mean, I think there is. I don't think any of that's like what they intended, but it helps because now the one thing that they do with a shark, and it comes and eats something, and it doesn't keep coming after people. It'll eat something, except for at the end, and leave. They have to, which is it's a tough thing when you think about writing a script like this, because
Yeah.
you want people to keep getting killed and stuff, but you can't make it ridiculous. And they have to do this in Lake Placid too, because they can't just have it come. It comes and eats the kid on the raft, but then it doesn't kill. Like in Piranha, everybody gets killed at that point because there was a bunch of piranhas, but there's only one shark.
Yeah.
And he eats somebody. He's full. He doesn't keep coming, but. I mean, I really like. I like the idea of it being some kind of supernatural being, but at the same time, that's something more heavier than somebody that people at the time are going to accept to enjoy the movie. Because,
Yeah.
but as for us, say we're thinking, how can we make sense out of this and what the shark is doing? We come up with like a theory like that, which I don't think it was intended, but it makes it in some ways make more sense because we want to make it make sense. What happens and why the shark's going to suddenly like stalker like abilities, like it has a grudge against humans, like a crow's known to like remember things, and then but obviously. I like the idea, but I don't think people would like that idea. Like most audience members, if you were like, "This movie's about a killer shark," but if you were like, "This movie's about like a possessed demon shark," they'll be like, "Okay, I'm out."
Well, no, they would think that they would think that you're talking about a sci-fi original movie at that point, because there are demonic sharks attack movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We have
sharks and shark.
We have Shark Exorcist. Yes, that is a thing that exists.
Yeah,
that movie totally exists. We have Animeville Shark.
Yeah,
that's a thing. That is a thing. I understand. But what I'm getting at though is I feel like you can make, whether Spielberg intended for that or not. I mean, Spielberg is Jewish, so I'm sure he's familiar with this idea in some way, or at least it's in his subconscious. but I feel like when you're doing it, what elevates this above as a concept from the Amityville shark or the Exorcist shark is when you make it subtle, and
Yeah,
when
well, you don't tell anybody about it.
yeah, you don't
It's
tell
like
anybody
it's
about it, but you also don't reveal the evil spirit that comes out of it, like the movie The Car. You know,
Oh
when
yeah.
yeah, when they actually finally kill the car, a freaking literal fire demon comes out of it in this amazing effect that still haunts me to this day. But like they don't do that in this because people would have that reaction that Dave is talking about. So I think whether they intended for it or not, if they did intend something like that, then that's how you do it. You do it in a realistic way as much as possible, and you do it in a way that's brutal and visceral. But you also, I mean, I kind of did something similar for there's an episode for a story I did for a podcast that has yet to materialize. That I was going to do called Night Chapel, and we had a giant snake in that, and we didn't want to rip off Anaconda, so I basically made it where like the natives worship the snake as a god, and the snake did things that normal snakes could not do. Yeah, it was seemingly everywhere. I mean, we read it. There's an actual explanation for why it's everywhere, but also like it's super intelligent for a snake. There's no way that it would. It's like it thinks like a human. So I wanted to suggest in it that maybe the snake really is a god, even though they blow its head off at the kind of like the shark in this movie
yeah.
at the end. But you know,
Well, I mean, I think even say for instance, if it was a demon possessed shark, if demon possessed person like or whatever, you blow it up, the demon could go to a different shark. You know,
and maybe that's what it did in Jaws too.
yeah. So it could go to a different shark, and that's what it would do if that was the case, because it would, a demon is some like a spirit that possesses somebody,
Yeah, in theory,
yeah.
or if it's just a shark god that materializes, takes on the form of a shark, then you just kill the form, and then it's going to have to come back sometime, or just goes to the spirit realm or whatever. But yeah, I feel like that you could definitely read that into it, and also I feel like another layer to this is we mentioned before that exploding scuba tank, which MythBusters has proven that would not work. And Spielberg himself, they brought it up to him on set, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, he basically said, I know it's probably not going to work, but honestly, if they're thinking about that at this point in this movie, then I have failed as a director." And he's right. So
Yeah.
it's
I
so
mean,
that
yeah. I thought it worked. It works better than killing him with the
with the
with the
with the barrels, that was going to be
yeah,
dumb. Yeah.
yeah.
But what I think is that because Spielberg was willing to make something to go by what's we call nowadays the rule of cool, I
Yeah.
think he ended up inadvertently making the way you kill this demonic shark basically an act of divine intervention, because by the laws of physics, there is no way that this thing should work. Brody believes that it will work. So either the bullet is like there's a bit of divine intervention with making the bullet hit the canister and then it blows up, or Brody himself's faith in this thing that he believes will work is so powerful that faith materializes, defies the laws of physics and blows up the shark's head.
I do, yeah. I mean, a little bit about Brody. I do like what they do with that character because he's the person who's afraid of the water.
Yeah.
He ends up being the hero, which is a big like the person who should have been able to kill him, Robert Shaw's character, Quint,
Gets
is unable
massacred by
to.
it.
And he goes to Richard Dreyfuss's character and asks, because Richard Dreyfuss's character has all these gadgets that he brings with him, and Quint does it's kind of making fun of that at first, but he gets to the point where he knows he can't defeat the shark, so he says, "What do you have? What do you have that we can try to do?" And then he tries this thing, and he fails that too, because he has it probably would have worked had he not dropped the pole. He was going to
Yeah.
maybe it would have worked.
Yeah.
He had a pole with poison in it, dropped it to the bottom of the ocean, and that pretty cool cage sequence, which that's but
The only
then
time they used a real shark.
yeah, right, and then they but then the fact that Brody is there everyone else is gone, and he's got a gun and that tank, and he just basically comes up with this. Probably it actually comes from him being a police officer too. The fact that he uses a gun like that to
Yeah.
shoot him, and then
Yeah.
he says, which is a line that does it seems like a one liner, like "smile, you son of a bitch," but he actually doesn't mean it that way. He's not like Dirty Harry, you know. He's like smile because he wants to shoot the tank, and the shark needs to open its mouth to shoot it. So it's a cool line, but it actually isn't the one liner that he's not like saying something cool. He's actually literally saying, "I want you to smile so I can blow this thing up."
And Mr. Watkins, you teed me up perfectly
Oh.
for what I'm about to do next.
We're not really ready for that yet. All right, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, we are. We are totally ready. I mean, come on. That was a segue from God. How could I? Like, he gave it to me on a silver platter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Schwarzenegger alternator moment of the show where, okay, yeah, Smile, you son of a bitch is a masterpiece kill line. It is a kill line of all kill lines. It's right up there. You can put it on a plaque and put it above your fireplates. You could make that just. I mean, it's just one of those. It's one of the lines that's just. It has power to it, and I feel like I don't know. I don't think Mr. Schwarzenegger can improve upon it, but I will try. I will try my darndest. So here I go.
Okay, go ahead.
I have 4 Schwarzenegger alternators. For if I was in the scene, if I was hanging off of this mast in the water, and the shark is coming for me, here's what I would say. I cock my weapon. And then here he comes. Hasta la vista, Sharky. Number 2.
Okay.
Number 2. Hey, Bruce, you are terminated. Number 3. This one works better if you imagine the fact that he shoots the shark multiple times before he works up to this one. He's like, come on. This one's for Hooper. This one's for Quint. And this is for Alex Kidner, you son of a bitch.
Okay.
Which I think would have added a nice little emotional pathos to that scene. Because to me, like, if Brody was going after the shark, not just to save his family, but to avenge the boy that he should have saved. And at that moment say, this is for Alex Kidner, you son of a bitch. I think that would have probably been cool too. But our 4th and final Schwarzenegger alternator is this. Here's an explosion for your movie, Mr. Spielberg. Because we haven't had any explosions in this movie until now.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other, and I believe that that's one of the great things about the movie and why it was so popular when it originally came out and became like the so-called first real summer blockbuster, is because it has such a satisfying ending, and it wasn't something that petered out. It was a giant explosion. It was satisfying, despite the fact that the ship that they're on, all of a sudden
The Orca.
is like completely in pieces, and the last shot we get is Hooper and Brody paddling their way back to civilization, which I don't remember that in the television version, to be honest with you. But it's I've seen it so many times.
It was in there.
Yeah.
I always for some reason I feel that they cut out a lot from the ending on the television version, but I don't know. It was so fucking long ago I saw it.
I don't think they cut that out. You almost have to have that.
Yeah, you got that one nice little line at the end where he's like, "Yeah, I used to hate the water," and then Hooper goes, "I can't imagine why."
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised because this movie could have ran too long, and they could have already gone straight to the credits, rolling really fast to get into the next movie. I don't know. That happened a lot back in the day on television.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah, the credits go by like in 10 seconds. It's like
10 seconds
credits,
Yeah. But I always
It's almost like,
love.
what's the point of you showing the damn credits if you can't read them?
I know, right? I know.
I think they're
Yeah.
obligated. They can cut stuff out of the movie for the TV edit, but they can't cut out the credits. They just make them
Yeah.
go by really fast.
It's hilarious. It's actually hilarious because they're like, man, nobody reads these credits. They actually usually they'll start showing something else. Sometimes they'll even have the next movie playing
I mean,
in the corner, like the opening credits to the next movie is playing in the. Meanwhile, the credits are like flying by.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like that's a very great, satisfying ending to this first film. It's one of those endings where like you don't it in reality in the reality that I wish was the world of Jaws, that they didn't make a second Jaws. Or maybe even the third or the fourth, despite the fact that I grew up watching the third and fourth one more so than this one. We could go to my alternate world where Jaws and Jaws 3D don't exist in the same franchise, and Jaws the Revenge doesn't exist in the same franchise because obviously we all know by now that Jaws the Revenge just ignores the third one any fucking way.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine though because like the third one is such an outlier. It's so different than the others. It might as well have been a different movie altogether. I mean, that's fine. But I feel like with this, I think the problem with the franchise and the sequels is that there's such a steep drop in quality from the first one. But it's the second one especially. Like the second one's good. It's not as good as the first one. It could never be as good as the first one. But the second one at least, hits all the marks and hits it pretty well. But like as soon as it gets to Jaws 3 and 4, it's just doom. It's down. Like there's so much they could have done that would have been much more interesting. I mean, even with Jaws 2, and maybe we'll get into this later when we do Jaws 2, but just in case y'all out there don't watch all of them, I'm just going to say right here, I think a much better idea for Jaws 2 than basically it's just rehash the first movie, is it's called Jaws 2. Why don't we have two sharks? A male and a female, a breeding pair of man-eating sharks, and Roy Scheider's got to stop them from mating, or it's open season on everybody on the eastern seaboard. So that could have been Jaws 2. And then Jaws 3 could have been Jaws in space.
Well, before you go on, we do have the 2-headed shark attack, 3-headed shark attack, I think 4 and 5-headed shark attacks.
That's another thing, though. It's like I feel like I mean, we could have we beta tested this bit earlier, but like I feel like I can't do franchise this with Jaws because not because the actual Jaws franchise could have been improved. Yes, it could have been. We all know this. But I feel like the problem with the shark movie nowadays as a genre, as a cottage industry, is that they're not shark movies. They are all, in their own way, Jaws ripoffs. They are all Jaws ripoffs. And it's just a question of which one rips it off better. And I think we all know that pretty much Deep Blue Sea is the best Jaws ripoff of all time. Either that or Piranha, the original with that Joe Dante made. So but all these other crappy shark movies, the 3-headed shark attacks, the goblin shark one, the extra you could easily just as well see these as Jaws sequels because Jaws 3 was so out of Amityville, out of the town, not the house. So it was so out of the Brody. Well, I mean, there was one tenuous connection. The Dennis Quaid's character, I think, is supposed to be the grown-up kid of Brody.
I thought it had both of the sons.
Yeah, they are. Both of them are the sons.
Yeah, all 4 of the movies have those characters in them.
Yeah, they just kind of the fourth one just ignores the events of the third one, so it's like a direct sequel to the second one.
Yeah. But because they opened that door, you literally could do anything with just random shark as long as you have shark that eats people. That's it. And that's what all these other movies are. Every conceivable, terrible Jaws sequel idea you can possibly imagine has already been done straight to DVD or straight to Blu-ray or straight to streaming or straight to the Sci-Fi Channel.
But let's well, I'm gonna add to that because there are just as many shark movies that go theatrical as there are those two straight to DVD.
Ah, yes.
So
Well, lately, I heard we've had some good ones. Like, I haven't seen any of these, so I'm hedging my bets here. But I hear that there's one called Beast of War, where it's just a bunch of guys, I think in World War II, or Vietnam or something, and they're like just floating on a raft in the Pacific, and they slowly get picked off by a shark. And
Well,
then there's
yeah.
and then there's like there's another one. I think it's called Dangerous Animals,
yeah,
where
that's
it's
recent.
where it's basically Saw with a shark. And
Yeah,
I hear
I mean that's the thing that you could make a bad Shark Jaws ripoff, but you can also make a good one, and you can disguise it if you write it the right way. You can disguise just like they do Alien all the time. You know, there's
Yep.
like so many Alien clones.
Well, there
Some
was
of them are
Alien
good.
clothes before the Alien, so
Yeah. Yeah, so but I mean if it's done right, it can be good. It just depends on you can I mean it can also be done right silly. It just like Deep Blue Sea is kind of a mixture of those two things. But I don't like the Meg is like what we talked about, which I don't like the Meg that much, but it is kind of like a taking it to it's kind of kind of in between this and Deep Blue Sea.
I'm just gonna say this real quick about the Meg. The Meg is a great movie that doesn't follow the fucking book. Uh,
so I've heard.
it can't because they picked Jason Statham as the star, and that's not the kind of the star of the book. The book is not a Jason Statham type of character, so I always laugh at that. I was
When
like,
you said the book, I thought you mean the literal book. I thought you meant like the playbook for the movie.
"Oh, the book." There's
I thought you were like this thing ain't play.
Meg,
Yeah,
the
the
Meg,
book.
the Meg series of books is a long-running series of books. I've read all of them except for the last one, maybe two now. And by the time they get to the second one barely follows the book at all because you have to have Jason Statham do a fight sequence. Like the character isn't fighting people in these books, dude.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hilarious.
I mean, he can't punch the shark, so
Yeah, he can, but we had to have a couple scenes where Jason Statham gets to fight people. So
Yeah.
I still laugh at that shit. And those are silly movies, but they made the first one at least made a shit ton of money because people wanted to see stuff like that. Or The Shallows, another hugely popular one. The
Yeah, I
Shallows.
mean, people will go see them. So you know,
The thing is, this film Jaws like created its own subgenre that some people don't even consider part of horror. Like there are people that still don't consider Jaws a horror movie. Uh,
no, they don't. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day on screenwriting group. She was asking me about like the subgenres of horror, and she's like, "I don't really like horror." I'm like, "Do you like Jaws?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And like, "Well, then you do like horror." She's like, "I guess I do
yeah,
because Jaws is a horror movie. It is
it,
a slasher on a beach and also a monster movie."
yep.
That's the way I pitched
yeah,
it to her. Is like, it is a monster movie. If you think about it, the shark in Jaws, or in my case, the demon shark of Jaws, that thing is the last of the Universal monsters. Jaws is a Universal movie, so we could put the shark right up there with Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, and also the shark
Yeah, and
of
in your
the
Jaws.
eyes,
creature from the Black Lagoon. But this,
Creature of the Black Lagoon,
yeah.
yes.
But it's definitely like it instilled a lot of fear in people.
yes,
Whether
it did.
and it is. I don't know if they don't. I don't. Sometimes some people don't technically consider it a horror movie. I consider it a horror movie, and
So,
it almost. I mean, it was nominated for best film that year. It lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is a really awesome movie. But
yeah.
I think Jaws was robbed of the Oscar because I think it's better than
Yeah.
that.
There's not a lot of people watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in rafts and a
Yeah,
river,
yeah.
every summer. I mean,
Yeah,
and
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, I
saying,
guess yeah. This could
and
have
I'm
started
saying
the
that,
summer
and I'm
blockbuster, I guess.
yeah,
that's
and
a
I'm saying
dark
that
movie, dude. That's not a like it doesn't have that ending appeasing audience thing. It's not One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is not meant to make you feel good when at the end fucking the one guy kills Jack
Well,
Nicholson's
yeah.
character.
yeah,
Yeah. But
Mercy killing in a mental hospital.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
But then he escapes though. He throws the cooler through the window and
yeah,
escapes, and that's the triumphant ending that the chief character,
yeah, but
gets
he's
that. But yeah. But it's not an audience thing. That's back then. Like they would like the Academy would often pick more of an artsy type of movie as the movie. That's the movie they probably thought would be remembered more. But the thing about Jaws, and one of the reasons why, like even now they don't necessarily like nominate like the audience, the blockbuster movies that people go to see. They don't do the superhero movies, or they don't do the what used to be the like the what is it, the natural disaster films that they did for so long, because they're summer blockbusters.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this kind of created that in a way, the summer blockbuster.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I
It-
think you're
it-
right. I think you're right. Like once the Academy decided not to give Jaws the prize, they drew a line in the sand that they rarely ever cross now. In fact, I think they only really crossed that line with Titanic, and they crossed it again with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And-
I agree.
And they kind of sort of crossed it with Everything Everywhere All at Once, even though I don't really like the philosophy of that movie. I am glad that a science fiction movie finally won the Academy Award. I just wish it wasn't that movie. I wish it was 2001: A Space Odyssey, or freaking anything else.
That movie was very quirky. It was good, but I definitely didn't think Academy Award with this. It was very. I don't think like most people probably don't like that movie really because of the way, like when I say most people, I don't mean like people like us. I mean like most people, if they went to see that at the theater, they would be like very overwhelmed by it. I think it's a very overwhelming film.
Yeah.
It's a hugely popular film. A hugely popular film when it wasn't designed to be a hugely popular film. I think it's kind of like the opposite of, say, something like Sinners, which was nominated this year, which was a hugely popular movie, and people were like, "Oh man, it's gonna win the Best Academy Award," blah 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 blah.
And then at the last minute, the Academy remembered, wait a minute, this is a vampire movie. We can't do this. We can't give a golden statue, our highest honor, to a freaking vampire movie.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
I mean, I liked Sinners. I thought it was. I didn't really. I was surprised that it was nominated. I mean, I'm always surprised when a horror movie's nominated. I'm like, really? Like Exorcist and Jaws. I mean, those are two that
Silence of
stick
the
out.
Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs won. That's the only horror movie that's ever won an Oscar.
And people still say, no, it's a thriller.
Yeah, they don't want to.
Those movies make, but those movies make sense to me. Like Sinners, kind of is good, but it's not like I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's like weird to me. I mean, I thought it was fine, but I wasn't like this.
It just might not have been your jam. That's all.
Yeah.
Man.
No, I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I definitely wasn't. Yeah, I'm not saying like, but it's like it's not even to me the best horror movie of this year. Like I much prefer like The Ugly Step Sister, or maybe even Weapons.
Yeah.
but it's like But
it's not Jaws. It's not Jaws.
Yeah, it's not Jaws, and it's
like
not
The Exorcist. It's not The Exorcist.
To me, it didn't really do anything new. Like you look at like The Exorcist, did something new. Jaws did something new. Like this, Sinners just kind of took like. Yeah, Silence of the Lambs did something new, but this Sinners is like kind of from dusk till dawn, with just a different location and stuff. Similar type of stuff going on. But again, it was good. It was really well done.
But it's not Jaws, and neither are any of the Jaws sequels. Jaws.
But we'll still talk about them apparently.
Well, we'll talk about them, but the thing is,
I'm actually like I used to not necessarily like the sequels, but I think there's something to be talked about. I actually prefer to talk about movies that aren't that good, so I can kind of rip on them a little bit. So
just a quick precursor. I think so for me, as an African American growing up in the 80s, we didn't see a lot of ourselves in horror movies that didn't die within the first 5-10 minutes. In this film, you have one of the most popular African Americans in the movie with Louis Gossett Jr. in it. And he doesn't die. You just don't see what happens to him by the end. He saves the other girl. They assumably swim out of the lab and they're alive because they never go back to that lab in the rest of the movie.
Right. And not only does he not die, Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, he has a position of authority in that movie too.
Authority. He's
Yeah.
the one who's in
Yeah.
charge of running the park. And the way he delivers lines is like he does in every movie he does. He just commands a presence.
It's poetry.
And the other thing about
Yeah,
that movie
yeah.
for me is it has Dennis Quaid, who was in every great 80s cult movie known to mankind, from Dreamscape to DOA to this fucking movie, to Inner Space. Dennis Quaid was
Space. That's
everywhere.
got a new 4K coming out, by the way. Yeah.
Like, dude, I love that movie because it had Dennis Quaid and it had Louis Gossett Jr.
Oh, and speaking of which, Watkins, please tell me, alert me. I don't care what I'm doing. You need to alert me whenever they get up off their butts and make a 4K of Enemy Mine, which has Louis
I hadn't
Gossett
heard of that
Jr.
yet. Yeah.
with Louis
Yeah.
Gossett Jr. and
Yes,
Dennis
Dennis
Quaid
Quaid
together.
together.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like they probably had a ball making these movies together. Like I've seen Enemy Mine a billion times as a kid. Like the 80s was like the heyday of both of those actors.
Which one was first, Enemy Mine or Jaws 3?
That's a
I
good
don't
question.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
but-
I know
Enemy Mine
they
was
used to play Enemy
first.
Mine a lot, though. Yeah.
But both of them were like in so many 80s movies. We had Iron Eagle 1 through 3 with Louis Gossett Jr. just chewing up scenery. Like
Yeah.
I must have seen Jaws 3D a billion times. And so that one became the 3D effects. Even though I've only ever seen Jaws 3D once in 3D because I can't stand watching the anaglyph glasses. It's just a pain in the ass to me.
Right.
Never bothered me until someone, when I got older, kind of pointed it out. Oh, I can't stand that stuff. The 3D effects look like shit. And I was like, well, it's because it's been flattened to 2D. What the fuck do you think it's supposed to look like?
Yeah.
I was like, Friday 13th 3D, Amityville 3D, fucking Jaws 3D. We grew up watching it in 2D.
Yeah. Well, it's weird though. Like Friday the 13th 3D looks better in 4K, like significantly better. It's actually that the 3D cameras they had to shoot those with lend pretty good to 4K usually. They use a different type of camera.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I fucking as cheesy as it is when the shark blows up in Jaws 3D and you see the bits and pieces coming towards the screen. I laughed, but I always said, "Oh yeah, blow that motherfucker up."
Yeah. I mean, that's what 3D when you're doing like was it like My Bloody Valentine in 3D? That was awesome. I saw that in the theater, man. It was just like, holy crap. Yeah.
Awesome. So
like stuff like that coming out towards you, the axis. I mean, yeah, it's a novelty. It grows thin pretty quick. You can only watch one of those every now and then, but that was a good one to do it with, though.
Well, I love it. I mean, I still watch movies
Yeah.
at the theater 3D, dude. I still watch movies at the theater 3D. If I can go watch it at 3D, I'll drag the wife to go see a 3D movie like it's nobody's business. I don't give a shit.
I feel the same way, but it's a little pricey. But there is the Tennessee Aquarium does show like Hollywood movies on their IMAX 3D screen.
Yep.
So now, if you get like a annual pass, you get a discount on those movies. So I have yet to take my son to one of those, but I really do want to. I think they got Project Hail Mary is going to play there pretty soon, so I'm sure that would look amazing.
So that's when we're watching. We're actually recording this, everybody. Project Hail Mary is about to come to the theater, and this episode is going to be released long after that's probably left the theater.
So, dang. Sorry about that. But yeah, so I guess we come to the end, and
yes,
we're going to this is probably in most of our other things, the climax of our show is like where we rate these things and what objects we pick. But I feel like everybody, I think, in the audience knows what we're going to pick. It's going to be anticlimactic, folks. Don't you think? We're all going to give this 5 stars, right?
Yeah,
we're all going to give this. We're all going to give this 5 exploding scuba tanks out of 5, right, guys?
5 exploding scuba tanks is pretty damn good. So I'm going to give it 5. I mean, the thing is,
I definitely would give it 5. I did want to ask your opinion of a couple of characters from the film though, before we close out. What did you guys think about the mayor?
Scumbag.
No, see, I never thought of the mayor as being a scumbag. This is before that character became a cliche. and that character in other subsequent movies is a cliche, and they are usually depicted as a scumbag. This one, when he makes the comment that his own kids are on the beach, he is genuinely a character who believes what he is saying to be true, and that there is nothing. That they're just taking this out of proportion until he is proven wrong. But after that, he gives Brody everything he needs. He doesn't stop him from getting Quint and paying Quint's high $10,000 price tag.
It seems like a realized character though.
Yeah.
Unlike just a character who could be a villain. He is not a very bright mayor for one thing, but he's very definitely caught up in which he makes
politics.
He makes a good argument though, because of the town. It basically, they make a lot of money, all their money for the next season from that brief period of time when people were there on the beach and buying everything.
Yeah.
But I guess like I wonder if it would still do okay if they just like don't go in the water, but you can come hang out on the beach. I don't know. You can still come to our town and buy shit, but
you're right, because there is that scene where he first says that he goes to his friend who on the beach and he says, yeah, there's no one going out in the water, and he kind of pushes his friend to go out in the water. And once, it's really funny because I didn't notice this until this last viewing of it, that his friend, as he's taking his family out there, is like, I don't want to fucking go out to the water, man. I heard the rumors. But
that is funny too. Yeah,
I never noticed the look on their faces. Like the wife and him.
Can you imagine that? And he had to bring their kids out there too. Can you imagine that? Because you're like, there's a shark. That shark ate a kid. But then they think they got the shark though. So that's why they're but at the same time, everybody is still thinking there's a shark out there.
And you got to remember, these are normal people who can't fathom the ideal of a great white 25-foot shark in their waters. Like, it's never happened, and they can't fathom anything like that happening there. And the one shark that shouldn't be there anyways, that was caught, is like a welcome relief. Like, you see that in Brody's face the moment they catch the shark, and he's like, oh God, guys, who caught the shark? Oh man. And he's taking picture with them all before.
I like it when he's so excited that it's over at that point. He's like, oh my God, they got it, and it's like.
And I think that's part of why I don't see the mayor as being someone who's a villain, is because Hooper has Brody, he's talking to Brody, so Brody's got a little bit more of the information, the real information, than the mayor does. And the mayor is just saying a shark was caught, that we don't ever have sharks. You're just blowing this out of proportion type thing, unless you can tell me otherwise. And so I don't see the mayor in this movie as being a villain like I do in every subsequent movie that borrows.
Well, I mean all that, yes, but the problem is that. Well, first of all, I don't see him as a villain. I see him as a scumbag. A villain would be doing horrible, evil things, justifying it to himself, but also like kind of enjoying it. I don't think for a second that he meant for anyone to get eaten. I don't think for a second that he justifies people getting eaten for, money and power. Like there's guys like that in movies like this.
Yeah.
Those are straight up horrible monster villains. Yeah, they're quote the real monsters. I mean, like freaking John Voight's character in Anaconda. Like that.
Miller's character in Piranha.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I don't consider him a villain.
Hilarious, man.
Funny. But I still consider him a scumbag because, like, your kid. Oh, it's my kid who's out there too. Well, then dang it, that makes what you did even worse because you knew, and yet you chose to deny it. And also, again, I mean, it's a little unfair to do this, but he doesn't just do this once and learn from his mistakes. If you factor in Jaws 2, he does the same daggum thing twice.
But he does it.
But
they think that Roy Scheider's character Brody, they think he's having a mental breakdown, like he's having like a psychotic kind of relapse from the trauma from the first film, which makes sense. And it's like he does seem reluctant too in the second one. He does seem to be more listening to him most of the time, but then he's also doesn't really get on board until it's time to get on board.
And keep in mind,
both movies
but
he
go ahead.
disappears. Like that character disappears in the second half of both of the movies
Yeah.
because they kind of follow the same plot structure, which is kind of a bad for the
Well,
second one,
also
I guess.
keep in
Yeah.
mind that even Brody and his wife have their kids in the pool, which obviously is linked up with the rest of the fucking
Yeah,
water.
that's what they
Because
call it,
the
the
shark
pool,
gets-
right? Yeah, it's like what are you thinking with that? You know, how's that okay? You know, it's,
Well,
No,
that's
but
the set-
we'll talk about that in Jaws too. But what were the other
But
characters?
they do that in this one though too, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
Kinda,
kids,
yeah.
his kids are out there with on the ship with like other people out there in the pool area, but that's where the shark ends up getting.
yeah. I guess it's kind of like a Bay Area is what the
Yeah,
pool area
yeah, I
is.
think it's
Yeah.
the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's a
But
lagoon.
it's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
because I think they just think
Or the pond. They
it's
call it the
shallow.
pond is what they call it. The
Is it
pond.
the pond?
Yeah.
It's a pond.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah. I
yeah, they
think
call it
so,
the
yeah.
pond, not the pool. Yeah, the pond. And I always thought that was funny, because if Roy Schneider's character, Brody, was that like, if he believed in that wholeheartedly in what
Yeah,
the shark there, he wouldn't even have his kids out there because
Right. Yeah.
he already knows that all of the movement in the water it is like feeding time to the shark. So why?
They take that guy's dock out at one point. I mean, if he could go take a dock out, he could definitely get in that pond area. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the shark has super shark strength.
Yeah. So one other character I wanted to mention, and this is like that mom of the kid is like she looks like way too old to be a mom to that kid.
She does, but I didn't want to say anything about that. I'm just assuming
There's way too many memes out there about that not to say something. I think.
Oh, are
There's
there
like
really?
there's a really awesome meme. It's like it says something like, when you feel old, just remember you probably don't look as old as this young mom of this mom from Jaws of an 8-year-old kid.
They just had the kids at very young age. I mean, old age. Yeah, she's
Which
probably,
she probably yeah. I mean, I guess like back then the people looked older. Looked older when they were younger.
Yeah, that
too.
is a thing. You're right, Dave. That is a thing. People back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s
70s.
dressed older and more mature, whereas now, yeah, everyone wants to look younger. I think the meme that shows the women of Sex and the City and the women of the Golden Girls and said they are now the same age, and they dress this way. So yes, that's very clear that is a thing. Also, let's factor in this possibility that maybe the kid was adopted. She didn't have to be from her womb.
Yeah.
Do they? Yeah, but do they mention?
Apparently,
it's her son, right?
Do they what?
Do they ever mention that it's her son, right? I can't remember.
I think they do.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the reason why she slaps him in the face. Yeah.
It could be a grandson.
But there's apparently a story where that actress went to a restaurant and the name of her character's name was on the menu as a sandwich, and the kid actually ran the restaurant. You heard that one?
I'm not.
So yeah, they reunited. They took some pictures and stuff like that. But it's that's pretty cool that happened.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah. So
but yeah.
Did you have another character that you wanted to talk about, Dave?
Those are the two I wanted to mention. I don't think we didn't mention Quint's really awesome death though, which I think is one of the best scenes when the shark comes up on the boat and just and then him and Brody are both like sliding down the deck, and then Brody reaches out and tries to grab his arm to save him, but then he can't not go into the shark's mouth.
What's really gross though, or what's really gruesome is that if you look closely into the shark's mouth and later segments when he's trying to eat Roy Scheider, you can see chunks of Robert Shaw of him in it. You can see pieces of Quint inside his mouth.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised they used that inspiration for Jaws 3D when the one guy gets eaten by the fucking shark and has his hand sticking out with the bomb that would eventually blow him up.
But that him eating, and that's the part where the shark kind of does something that, I mean, obviously the shark wouldn't do most of the stuff the shark does, but him eating Quint and still trying to kill the other guys is definitely like the shark trying to get
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's
at that
not
point.
at this point he's not eating for food. He is targeting these guys for termination. It's a
Yeah.
Terminator shock. So it's not just a demon shock or an alien shock. It is a robot shock from the future. But
Robo,
anyway, no, he's trying to kill them. He's not trying to
yeah,
eat them.
Yeah.
I think he just took he took Quint under, chopped him in half, and maybe spit out the rest of him. Which is something we haven't mentioned here, is like the main reason why most sharks do not go rogue and eat people is apparently we don't taste very good to them.
we don't have enough fat on us. Enough blood.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
take.
that's good to know. They
Yeah.
do some damage. I've seen some documentaries or stuff on where people have been the shark will just come up and they grab your leg and you lose that leg. It's like
Yeah.
that's it for that
Yeah.
leg, you know.
You could also get they especially the smaller ones like to nibble on you, see if you have enough the blubber on you. They don't really like us. They like seals and shit when it actually has
Yeah.
a good taste. We taste horrible except to other humans who like cannibalism.
Yeah.
And apparently we taste like pork.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
taste like chicken, so they don't like us.
Well, it would probably taste better if it was cooked, but they don't.
Damn Campbell, Dave. But shit. I'm gonna allow some words now, guys. What else can we talk about Jaws before we
Pretty much it. I think we gotta sail off into the sunset and paddle our way back to
Yeah,
shore.
paddle our way back to shore? Okay, instead of two people, it'll be us three paddling our asses back to shore. Okay.
Clearly, I got eaten by the shark because I'm the Quint of this group. Farewell and adieu, you Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
So with that, I hope that you all have enjoyed this conversation horror in which we discussed the movie Steven Spielberg's Jaws from 1975. Please make sure to check out all the great episodes that we are doing, and I do mean great episodes we are doing for the other films in the Jaws franchise, which are also being released this month. And make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, do that thing you do with your favorite podcast, your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. You never know what you're going to get with us here. And this month, especially with our franchise themed month, we have a ton of stuff waiting for you to listen to. So with that, have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.